What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, the newest game from the developers of Pathfinder. We've got actually like an alpha version ready to roll. So we're going to take a look at it today for, 30 minutes or so and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. If you've never heard of Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader before, what is it? Well, this is going to be a CRPG that's actively set inside the Warhammer 40K nebulous, where you take on the role of a rogue trader, which are basically dynastic privateers with a letter of marque from the Empire that operate outside the confines of the law. They tend to be sort of like the Medicis of this setting. Like, they are very, very powerful merchant families that have the ability to get access to technology and archaeotech and heretic and things like that that would get other people executed, and they traffic in anything and anything that will make money. And so anyways, rogue traders are not people to be messed with inside the realm of Warhammer 40K. Most RPGs, they have kind of like a standard beginning. You start out as like a new adventurer. You're like a fighter or a wizard or whatever else, and you slowly become a hero. In Rogue Trader, you start out as one of the biggest ballers in the galaxy, like legitimately, and so I'm sort of interested to see how this premise ends up working. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. Then on top of that, you can also take a look down there for my Discord and my Twitch stream for when I'm live. Let's go ahead and start a new game, and we will make a male Rogue Trader. He's looking every bit like Warhammer 40K Don Fry. I love it. And then there's also a difficulty level, but I don't really know what the difference is between the two. One has blood spattered all over it, obviously, so it's like the harder one. But anyways, I assume that this makes adjustments to make the video game flow better, and this over here is probably the game plays almost exactly by the core rules of Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, the tabletop game. So anyways, without a tooltip, I couldn't say conclusively what the difference between the two is, but that would be my guess, having played Dark Heresy in the past. Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader have more or less the same rule sets. They're fairly similar. Let's dive on in. Alright, Dossier 17KB, compiled and processed on the order of the Most Gracious Lord Captain Theodora von Valentius. Candidate satisfies the consanguinity criteria, bears kinship to Lord Captain in the 7th degree from a dynastic offshoot in the Scaris sector. Current location of progenitors not specified. Gender is male. His occupation before requisition. We could be a void ship captain in the Imperial Navy. That will apparently give us weapon skill and persuasion. We can be a commissar, which will give us weapon skill, willpower, and it will make us proficient in coercing people. Or we can be a leader of an unspecified criminal organization that will give us good ballistic skill, agility, persuasion, and awareness. So yeah, this is going to be operating using the tabletop rules from Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader, from what I can tell. It's been a long time since I've played either of those tabletop games. In fact, I'm not positive I've ever played Rogue Trader. I've played Dark Heresy a couple of times, but I recognize the skills. Ballistic skill, agility, all that kind of stuff. We will be a commissar. If you don't know what a commissar is in the Astra Militarum, the Astra Militarum is basically the military of the Imperium. They have, trillions of soldiers, and like billions of them die a day all over the galaxy in endless war. Commissars are political officers. They are effectively in charge of keeping morale and making sure orders are being followed. They're basically the guy that comes and shoots you in the back of the head if you decide to not go up over the edge of the trench. Planet of birth and circumstances of early life. We can be born on an imperial world, a feudal world, a forge world, or a fortress world. Okay, yeah, I think that I like the idea. Let's get the diplomatic skills from imperial world. That sounds good. At the Lord Captain's request, the most significant episode in the candidate's biography that demonstrates personal qualities and performance under pressure has been highlighted. Based on the collected data, this is... Oh, apparently I got a pistol and a sword. All right. There is an uprising in the 8th city, an attack by a pirate armada, or a criminal incident involving void ships assigned to the Astra Militarum. That one makes sense, so we'll go with that one. While the details have been expunged from the archives, the fragments of information that remain make it possible to reconstruct an account of events. Evidence indicates that one of the Astra Militarum regiments was using Imperial Navy vessels assigned to it in order to ship contraband cargo. The candidate was implicated in the disgraceful incident due to his serving in the Astra Militarum regiment in question. When the candidate learned what was happening in the upper echelons of the regiment's command, he personally and discreetly shot every officer implicated or contacted high command in the space spaceport of origin and secured the conversion of the entire regiment into a penal legion. We're a commissar, so I feel like option A, to give everybody the old blamos, is probably what actually happened. Notable qualities exhibited when acting in difficult or ambiguous circumstances: a strength of character, initiative, commitment to the struggle against the enemies of the Imperium, including those internal. The qualities exhibited are deemed to be valuable and desirable in a potential successor to the Lord Captain. The candidate's profile has been deemed worthy of submission to the most gracious Lord Captain for further appraisal. With regard to the requisition of the candidate from the current position to serve the needs of the illustrious von Valancius dynasty, final decisions rest with the gracious Lord Captain. So several weeks have passed since the day Theodora von Valancius perished. On that ill-fated date, the rogue trader's void ship was attacked by madmen hungry to capture the dynasty's prize possession, the Warrant of Trade. Yeah, so the Warrant of Trade is basically a license given to rogue traders by the Imperium that allows them to operate outside the confines of law and, like, good standing. So, like, everybody else in the Imperium probably get executed almost immediately if they got caught with, like, an Eldar weapon, for example. That's like Heretic, basically. A rogue trader, they wouldn't even dare to search your ship. You're that powerful when it comes to being kind of like a major mercantile establishment in the galaxy. And you also have a warrant of trade, which effectively allows you to do things like that. No one can stop you, except for maybe the Inquisition, but the Inquisition relies very, very heavily on rogue traders in order to conduct its operations and investigations in a clandestine manner, and so I don't even think the most hardline of traditional Inquisitors would risk getting on the bad side of the dynasties over, like, a small heretic bust, basically. Fortunately for the thousands of lives who depend on the protection of their master, Lady Theodora's heir and now ruling von Valancius Lord Rogue Trader fought off the villains. Did I, like, not name my character or something? Was there a spot where I was supposed to name my character? They're calling me Lord Rogue Trader. Huh. In his efforts to carry out Lady Theodora's last assignment, Rogue Trader came up against a monstrous plot, which ultimately led to the death of the Imperial World Rykad Minoris. By the God Emperor's will alone did the Rogue Trader escape with his life when Rykad's star mysteriously vanished, leaving cold darkness in its wake. At one last desperate push, the Empyrean's mantle hid the fleeing souls from the pursuing enemy. However, testing trials were ahead. After several weeks in the warp, the rogue trader found himself on the fringes of his trade empire amidst scattered worlds of now lost in the cold void at the whim of the roiling warp. The Lord Captain must forge new routes to planets conquered in the past and fulfill one of the covenants of the Warrant of Trade, to restore that which has been lost. This must all sound like Latin to somebody that's never played Warhammer 40K before. Warhammer 40K, what I've learned from when Darktide came out, is that a lot of people are, like, interested in the lore, but, like, it's been a long time since I was new to the lore of Warhammer 40K. I've been into 40K since, like, 2004 or so. I started young. And I was just thinking about that the other day, how wild it must be for somebody nowadays with the huge body of lore and things you have to learn just to get into the setting. I went back and checked, and it doesn't look like there was a spot where I named my character, so I'm assuming this isn't actually like the finalized intro to the game either. This is more than likely just like a teaser that they're using to promo and, like, get the name out there and let people know that they're actually making the game. Because there was no place to name my character as far as I can tell. I bet this is like a snippet of, like, mid-game gameplay would be my guess. Lord Captain, allow me to report. Our journey through the warp is coming to an end. Lady Navigator Orcelio informs me that we have reached the point where we can translate real space in the Furibundus system. The Lady Navigator and her pilots are awaiting your permission to begin the process. The Furibundus system is home to Footfall, the only Imperium outpost with a functioning wharf in the Coronis Expanse. The tech priests are begging you to have mercy on the machines worn down by the warp and to allow the servants of the Omnissiah to heal the void ship's wounds in the dock. The prayers and rituals will take a few days, which our astropathic choir will use to establish a connection with the prime worlds of your trade empire, Dargonis, Janus, and Kiava Gamma. There's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to assume that people know stuff about Warhammer 40K, but basically, on board we have tech priests. They're basically mechanics. Except that they don't know anything about mechanics. All they know is how to, like, light prayers, or say prayers and, like, light candles over machinery, and then they do the rituals of repairing, which is actually taking, like, a socket wrench and fixing it, but they don't think about it on, like, a mechanical level. Like, if I turn this nut and I tighten this screw, this happens. Like, they're basically just fixing things through repetition and prayer, effectively. It's become like a ritual. Aside from that, our ship has been in the warp, so nobody can do faster than light travel in Warhammer 40K except for the Tau. Everybody else has to tear a hole in reality and basically fly through hell in order to come out on the other side where they want to be. If you've ever seen the show or the movie Event Horizon, it's kind of like that. They have to go through a realm of madness and terror effectively to travel through the warp and use wormholes. And so the entire ship will have bulkheads that batten down and basically make the ship airtight while you're going through the void. And it wears on the ship, all the things trying to get in and all the crazy stuff happening outside. So the tech priests are concerned about basically how well our ship is operating. Astropathic Choir, it's basically a human radio. So basically the Astropathic Choir, they're a bunch of psychers and they sing in a choir and they use that energy effectively to communicate with other places. And they do it until they die. Actually, performing the Astropathic Choir drains your energy slowly. And so anyways, like everything else in Warhammer 40K, it's Grimdark. We have already received a message that was previously adrift in the Immaterium. Master Zachary Weiss is reported receiving an invitation from the Liege of Footfall. He's humbly requesting an audience with the rogue trader of the Von Valencius dynasty. According to Master Zachary, the message was tinted with shades of pleading, and I quote, "Apparently the Liege is anxious to meet as soon as possible." Footfall, the place where sin and sanctity go hand in hand. We have a actual Sister of Battle on board? Oh, wow. Okay, fair enough. Reverend Hieronymus de la Rosa will more than likely expect a visit from me. I imagine he'll be interested in talking with you as well, rogue trader. I will be leaving the Void ship once we arrive on Footfall, and once that is done, consider the Lord Inquisitor's task complete. Yeah, exactly. See, the Inquisition and rogue traders, they're like a hand in a glove, you know what I mean? They're like a ween in the balls. Like, they hang out with each other a lot. But before I leave you, rogue trader, he produces a device wrapped in velvet. I was supposed to deliver this to Lady Theodora, but considering the circumstances, I'm giving it to you. This is an elucidator, a sacred machine that translates languages of distant and lost worlds to Imperial Gothic. It is even capable of handling Xenos languages up to a point. There may be flaws in translation, but the overall meaning should be clear. Okay, tell the Lady Navigator I give her leave to make transition from warp into real space. Vigdis begins issuing instructions. The massive ship appears to change with her every word. The bridge is set in motion as hundreds of people start to prepare for the shift into real space, and measured chanting fills the corridors to safeguard the vessel and its crew. Yeah, basically when you're flying through the warp, everybody on board is gonna, like, when you're transitioning, it's gonna be like, the Lord is our shepherd, I'll not want. Like, these people are all crazy religious if you're not into Warhammer 40K. They worship the Emperor over everything else. And the prayers in this game actually do keep the nasty things at bay. They actually have power. Vigdis turns to you again. One more thing, Lord Captain. No one at the station knows about Lady Theodora's demise and you inheriting her title. Liege Takara will be informed. It is required so that we can use the dock, and besides, he is expecting a personal audience with the rogue trader. And he will not meet with an unknown person of unclear standing. However, there is still the matter of announcing your arrival. You can either arrive on the station with the proper pomp and ceremony, or you can choose to visit incognito. We'll arrive officially, dude. What's the point of being a big baller in the galaxy if we're not going to show up? Look at these furs on my shoulder right here. Look at that. Look at everybody else in the galaxy wears burlap and eats turnips. It will be done, Lord Captain. With your gracious permission, I will return to my duties. Yeah, the transitioning of the Lord Rogue Trader's title, that could actually, with Imperial bureaucracy, that could take decades. That could be an absolute nightmare to get sorted out. So we pretty much, let's have a look at our character here. Yeah, he's a baller. And his appearance does change. I've played through this a couple times. His appearance, I think, does change based on what you pick at the beginning of the game. So we're kind of like nobility from an Imperial world. So we've got like the big mantle and all that kind of stuff. Last time I went through, I chose almost all Astra Militarum background stuff. And like he was decidedly more black in his clothing and like with the trench coats, you know. I mean, we still very much look like a commissar, but... Alright, so here we are on a system map. Our ship is over here, and we can go to Footfall. Let's go ahead and head on over that way and see what awaits us inside of the Fall of the Foot. That's actually a really, really cool map right there. That's a super sick map with the thick ink lines and everything. Like, it's a it's a dope way to represent a map. All right, so these are all of our characters. It looks like we have that's us. This guy is obviously ex-military. He's got the naval collar on. Her, I'm pretty sure she's a psyker. We've got a sister of battle. We have a tech priest. And then we have a navigator, actually, which is kind of an interesting person to have in your group. The welcome procession is not particularly long, but it has attracted attention. Everyone is dressed in their finest apparel with every button gleaming. Standing in front of the others is a woman with clearly expensive implants. She bows in a solemn curtsy. Yeah, this is going to be fairly common throughout the game as we show up places. Everyone wants to court a rogue trader, because a rogue trader in the galaxy has access to things that you can't even dream of. And he can supply those things to your planet. He can supply those things to your station. Things that you're not supposed to have, but if you got them from a rogue trader, it's okay. Rogue trader, Footfall welcomes you. On behalf of the Liege Lord Vladim Tokara, let me express my joy at your arrival. The Liege awaits you at his residence, but should you have other business to conduct on the station, I will be happy to serve as your guide. Cash's lip curls slightly. This is so familiar. Behind the amber-colored scattering of words of welcome, far less appealing hues lurk, murky and diluted. The look of someone accustomed to lying and hiding their intentions. Yeah, so she's a navigator. For all intents and purposes, navigators are mutants. They should probably be purged. But they're the only ones that can navigate the warp, and so the Imperium kind of puts up with them. And they have ultimately become one of the most powerful groups in the Imperium because every single ship needs to have navigators in order to enter the warp and make it through. They all have a third eye, like in the middle of their forehead. Like, that allows them to, like, see colors and things and, like, read people's souls and things of that nature. They're basically psychers, and they're basically mutants. Adira jerks her head, shakes it, and hisses through her teeth. Someone's coming, and they're coming for us. Watch out, Lord Captain. Abelard sighs and casually puts a hand on his weapon. Who's coming? Judging by the voices, a lot of them. Angry. They've got teeth, but they aren't that sharp. Their strength is numbers. Pray, what are you talking about? What could you mean by such a cryptic pronoun? And like that, because it's Warhammer 40K and we know nothing but war in the 41st millennium, we are under attack the moment we get off of our ship. So you'll have to forgive me, it's been a really long time since I've played Dark Heresy. I just don't play tabletop that much anymore. You approach a certain age and everybody's got kids and everybody's got stuff going on. Nobody wants to play tabletop anymore. They're all too busy. But with Dark Heresy, it's been a good half a decade since I played Dark Heresy. And so I'm probably going to mess up some of the combat rules here. I'm probably not going to understand certain things because it's been a while and I would have to go back through my core rulebooks to refresh my memory. But anyways, we get a movement and we get an action from what I remember. And there are many, many actions you can take in this game. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just suffice it to say that various characters have various abilities, such as, you can study the enemy if you're a tech priest in order to deal more damage on your next turn. Some characters have heals. Some characters will have psychic powers. Some characters will have, like, military doctrines they can fall back on to boost up their defense or their ability to utilize cover. Things like that. But our tech priest is up first. Let's go ahead and get the tech priest into cover because the tech priest is probably fairly squishy. I don't know what his armor rating is going to be for right now. I can't imagine that the enemies have much piercing damage to get through armor. I actually think the best thing we could do right now is throw a grenade. Oh, we can't get the grenade that far. Oh no, dude. Okay, so the best thing is not actually a grenade right now. Never mind, I canceled the grenade. We do have Plasma Overcharge, which is an AoE, but it'll overheat our plasma gun for 2 turns. How big is the AoE on that? That's actually almost perfect. Oh, the box diverts the flow of plasma. Okay, I mean, I'm still okay with the idea. Yeah, not bad. I'll take that. Give them a little bit of a scuffing. Chin check those fools. How dare they open fire on a Lord Rogue Trader? How dare they? As far as I can tell, every character has movement points, and every character has action points. I was fiddling around with it prior to the recording, And I just couldn't remember. So, like, different abilities have action points. I'm pretty sure you can only do one thing from this side, though, regardless of how many action points you have. And then, like, the other action points are reserved for activities that are on this side of the track, just in case you wanted to do them. So, like, we can communicate with the machine spirit, or we can target a weakness. We could command, let's see, allies gain the benefits of the adept study enemies and study defense abilities. We can say study defenses on these nerds. The interesting part is that I haven't been able to get to the bottom of is that it'll say, like, study defenses cost 2 AP, but if you watch our AP track, it takes you down to -2. And so that's the part that I've been a little bit vexed about, and I can't decide whether or not it's because I'm forgetting some fundamental rule of Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, or if, hey, will you relax with the point-blank shotguns, dude? Okay, yeah, we're getting shot up pretty good right now. Then again, they outnumber us by a pretty furious amount, too. Luckily, he whiffed that shot right there, so I'll take it. A bullet's actually an interesting thing about this game. Bullets do have presence in the game world. What I mean by that is that a shot that's intended for one person that's in the front of, like, a column, if it comes in at a certain angle, it can absolutely hit somebody behind them. So it's sort of an interesting take, and I like it. We don't really have a whole lot of options here. We do have a sharpshooter. I'm going to pull the sharpshooter back about as far as I possibly can. We have an aimed shot over here, or we have a single shot. Maybe it's just saying what the change is going to be overall in the track, not what the total is going to be at the end. After looking at it, I think that might be the case. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. We've got 14 to 18 damage right there on an 80% hit on this armored Anvur. Let's go ahead and do it. Oh, it penetrated. It went through and hit the guy behind him, too. I love it. What else do you have over here? You have foreboding, dodge, and parry bonus. I mean, you're out of cover, so you might as well use foreboding. However, I think that's going to make our warp track go up. A big feature of magic or psyker abilities in Warhammer 40K is that they induce things like perils of the warp. So basically all magic in Warhammer 40K comes from hell. You know that place we travel through in order to get from point A to point B? That's also where you pull the energy for your magic or your psyker abilities in Warhammer 40K. And when you do that, things on the other side see you doing that. You glow like a beacon. And so anyways, they tend to not like it, and bad things tend to happen. And that means that while magic is incredibly overpowered in Warhammer 40K, like absurdly overpowered, it also means that most people that have the power to do kind of crazy magic and crazy abilities are very, very hesitant to do so. Largely because bad things can happen. Very bad things can happen. Restores momentum equal to the Battle Sisters' doubled willpower bonus. Oh boy. All these characters do have a character sheet if you wanted to see what that looked like. It's a standard character sheet from Rogue Trader or Dark Heresy. They all kind of use the exact same skill sheets, basically. The games are very, very, very similar. It's a D100 system. What that means is that you have a skill, and in order to use that skill, you roll a D100, and it has to come out underneath this number. So, like, if you were playing Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, you wanted to shoot your gun at somebody, and you have 45 in ballistic skill, you would roll a D100. And then there would be modifiers. So, like, if the enemy is fat, or the enemy is huge, or the enemy is out of cover, or whatever else, the DM would be like, hey, add 10 to this roll. And so you would effectively have a 55 ballistic skill. It means you have to roll under a 55 in order to hit with your weapon. And it's the same for all of those stats. Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader are tremendously random systems, though, due to the fact that they are D100 systems. I usually very much prefer games that use Shadowrun's D6 system because they give you a much more standardized result on your dice rolls. So far, so good. It looks like the enemy kind of sucks at their job. Well, I said that as I got shot in the face. All right, so we've got our navigator. What does our navigator actually do? Lidless stare. Open your third eye, gaze in. Let's see. All creatures in the cone suffer damage equal to the navigator's willpower bonus. What's your willpower bonus? +5. So it's a 5 damage AoE. All right. My thinking is that we need to start eliminating some of these guys in the backfield. I don't think we're going to have too much of an option unless we get on it. So anyways, let's get the navigator in over here. And we could take a single shot. Let's take somebody off the field. So there it is. Lovely blood and gore. I'm going to leave her out of cover for a second. Apparently, I've been locked into melee combat. Luckily, we pulled off a dodge right there. Otherwise, this would be a bit of a situation. It looks like we have ourselves a sword. Not a special sword. Not a power sword. Not a force sword. A sword. Little concerning. Little tiny bit concerning. Apparently, I am also quite good with said sword. I'm going to run this ability right here. Move, move, move. Oh, I can't use it on myself? Never mind then. I take it back. I should have moved first, but I couldn't remember the attack of opportunity rules in Dark Heresy, so I was kind of like scared to move. We'll go ahead and put this guy out front as like a big juicy snack since our rogue trader's not looking great. And yeah, throw a frag grenade at a guy. That sounds like fun. There you go, frag grenade out. What else can you do? You've got charge. You go in a straight line and strikes the first target that interrupts his movement. Oh, if I'd gone one step further, I could have done that. We've also got forceful strike. We've got endure. Sure, we'll do that because it lowers all the damage that we're going to take for the next turn or two. And we made it to round 2. Oh, they're still shooting at the rogue trader. Okay, surprising. Oh, God. Not ideal. This could be going better. All right, let's go ahead and move over to here. And I need to patch you up, sir. Let's go ahead and we will heal. There you go. All better. See? All taken care of. And then, you know what? Plasma shoot that guy. There you go. Introduce him to hot molten plasma. It's what he deserves. I can already tell this video is going to go long, although I am glad that they decided to open on a fight. That's always my advice for like demo and alpha design, is never ever start your RPG with a massive information dump, dude. Never ever do it. You should always start the player in the thick of the action for like at least the first 45 minutes to an hour of the game, then do the info dump. And so like, I was a little bit worried when I was checking the game out that, you know, the beginning of the game had a lot of reading and stuff going on, and I'm not averse to those things, but it's also a video game. And so, ooh, that double penetration shot right there. It got both of them. One kill is good. Multiple kills is even better. Continue moving forward. Advance. You're a sister of battle. You don't believe in cover. Cover's for nerds. Cover is for nerds and the unrighteous who are small in faith. There we go. I think she's got an ability. Lets her take a double turn, too. She does. I was going to say, let's take this sexy double turn. Ooh. Oh, she's got a bolter. That's why. I was going to say, that dude got knocked for a loop. That man got thrown. I'll do it. None can escape the Emperor's Perfect. Judgment. All better. Apparently, she's much better at dodging than my rogue trader is. I wasn't really allowed to create my character. Like, I was just responding to prompts. I'm never, like, a big fan of that. I prefer to get into the nitty-gritty and, like, roll my stats and stuff like that. I'm not upset about it or anything. But I tend to make... So, like, in Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader, it really behooves you to make a character that's as min-maxed as possible. If you don't, you're going to have a really, really hard time because it's a brutal setting where... routinely for things like Only War, Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, you'll make like 3 or 4 characters the first time you play. because characters tend to die in this setting. Like, everybody's got like 10 HP. Everything hits for like a zillion damage. It's just kind of part of the setting. Rogue Trader, get on over here. A crack grenade, huh? Do you have a grenade with a larger impact radius? There you go. Let's give him a toy. We are gaining XP for all this, which is really cool. You guys are kind of running out of friends over here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your little welcoming party here on the... Does he have a melta-cannon? Oh my god, this guy brought an anti-tank weapon to personal combat.
Victory is imminent.
Oh! Yeah, so a melta-gun is usually used to knock giant barrel-sized holes in tanks and in heavy armor vehicles. This guy is just carrying one around with both hands, apparently. He showed up prepared. Not even mad about it. I'm not sure that you need that pluralization on knives anymore. I'm pretty sure at this point it's just knife out. Can I rotate? Oh, thank Christ. Okay. I couldn't see worth a damn right here. All right, so let's just get him. Oh, the plasma blast, huh? Little AoE action right there. I mean, technically I can plasma overcharge this guy, but it's only a 50% chance to hit, and I may hit my own guy, but screw it, it's Warhammer 40K. Collateral damage is expected, nay, encouraged. She's actually got a pretty solid range on her, but then again, she is a sniper, so I guess that makes sense. Did that help? Not by much. Man, dude is dodgy. All right, all right, all right. 250%'s down. I didn't want to hit the enemy anyways. Rapid fire. Mag dump that fool with the bolter. If you don't know what a bolter is in Warhammer 40K, it's basically like a 7mm fully automatic hydroexplosive rocket launcher. So basically it fires 7mm rounds that are quite large, like the size of a guy's, like a large man's pinky, basically. But they're designed to explode when they feel themselves enter a squishy being. And so anyways, they penetrate through all kinds of stuff, and then once they're into the guts, they explode. Which means that bolters are quite ridiculously strong. They are a very deadly weapon in the context of Warhammer 40K. Oof. Point blanked with a sniper rifle. All right, the shivering young servant looks up with you in horror, with horror in his eyes. Emperor, protect me! They killed every time I warn them, and then they go, "Oh, dear Emperor, our Lord and Savior, how could this have happened? Who could have thought?" She spits on the ground in annoyance. Does this kind of thing happen often around here? Shooting, yes. Attacks on nobles, no, not very often, unless it's the Anvers. They're vicious. Not a week goes by without them killing and gutting somebody. They're wicked heretics. They're wicked heretics. Wicked smart heretics. They respect nothing and they follow no rules. A gang of puny thugs attacked me, the Emperor's anointed, rogue traitor von Valancius. Such a poorly organized attempt on my life can only be seen as a personal affront. I would wager that this is not an assassination attempt, but rather a common raid. These half-wits had no idea they would run into you, Lord Captain. Still, it wouldn't hurt to be on our guard. The great have been known to fall to the pathetic, and we can attest to this from our recent experience. It's true. I forget who it was, but like one Space Marine killed another Space Marine. I can't remember if it was like the evil Space Marine killed the good Space Marine or vice versa. I can't remember. But with just a sharpened piece of wood, he grabbed off the ground and shoved up under his helmet in his moment of need. The puny absolutely can defeat the strong. Your lordship, those guys were the Anvers. They're not a gang. They're the worst. I'm telling you. They're scared of nobody, not even Liege Vladim. Go report this to your liege. I'm sorry, your lordship. Yes, I'll just go report to the liege. They killed her. Oh, God, they killed my lady. This is terrible. Man's having a meltdown. He's having a terrible day. Everything gets condensed in this game into one loot container, in case you were wondering. This first combat, It'll give you a whole bunch of random things that drop, from auto guns to flak armor. There's not going to be anything crazy like carapace, you know, but we'll pack all the stuff into our ship as cargo. And then from there, it's pretty much Baldur's Gate time. You run around town, you talk to people, you perform investigations. Usually it culminates in some kind of combat or battle. Oh, there's goods over here. Look at that, cyber cryptas. Broken combi tools. I don't even know if those are worth anything. I don't know. I'll pick them up and find out. You can hold down the Alt key to highlight anything that's lootable, just in case you're like me and you're an unabashed criminal who likes to loot everything that's not tied down. I'm the kind of person that'll take 38 trips from a dungeon in Skyrim at 5% movement speed, just to make sure I get every single tiny septum that I can out of a dungeon. And so if you can empathize with that, you and the Alt key are probably going to become very good friends. Apparently, I left things laying around on the ground. Yeah, just grab them all. So we can go to the Shadow Quarters, or we can go to the Atrium, which is where the Liege's residence is at. We're supposed to meet up with Vladim, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so what kind of trouble can we get ourselves into over here in the Atrium? Doesn't look like there's anything lootable, but there are investigative points or something where it'll give you little lore blurbs if you're interested in them. Buzzing crowd is closed in on several harried-looking people. Some of their faces are smeared with fresh blood. The angry cries and twisted faces leave no doubt a massacre is about to take place. Just cut their throats already. What were they thinking letting that ship dock at Footfall? They're all stricken. No cutting. If we get their blood on us, we'll be tainted too. We better burn them. Be quiet, scoundrel. A priest clad in simple black raiment and wielding a staff cuts through the crowd like a battleship crossing the sky. You dare pass judgment on others? What arrogance to think that you have the right. Argentus starts at the sight of the elderly priest. That's Reverend Hieronymus. I'm surprised he's decided to intervene in a street squabble. I'll intervene. I'm a commissar. I'm responsible for law and order, mostly on the battlefield. Like an Arbites is supposed to handle. Well, the Arbites is kind of like the FBI, in all honesty. This is kind of beneath Arbites. This would probably just be Enforcer's territory. Anyways, what's going on here? Several dozen gazes bore into you. And who are you supposed to be? I'm a commissar, and I won't be spoken to in that tone of voice. You don't even have the right to question who I am. You should just recognize. Look at this hat. Look at this hat. This is the hat of the man that runs shit. I am the judge of the worthless and the executioner of cowardice. Which one of you void rats dared to address me without the proper respect? The crowd shrinks away from your booming voice as if physically struck. That isn't too far from the truth. They avert their eyes and cower under your burning gaze as it sweeps over the gathered riffraff. Finally, one trembling rabble-rouser is pushed forward. We're just rooting out heresy here, sir. These scrawny ones, they're from a ship that came from the bowels of the Coronis Expanse, and they've got the plague, and mutants, and they're spreading that rot everywhere, that taint, they're all... Silence! You must be completely out of your minds. A band of woefully dim-witted sinners who think themselves bringers of justice? Who are you to pass judgment on anyone? All you ought to be doing is suffering and repenting until the end of your days. What's so wrong about that, Reverend? We just want to put heretics to death. We're not heretics. We're refugees. I swear on the Golden Throne. We served the Imperium faithfully until they hung us out to dry. Ooh. The first half of that sentence, I feel like you were okay. Second half of that sentence, in front of a commissar? You're very, very brave. To imply that the Imperium has ever done anything wrong is heresy. Everything that the Imperium does is divinely inspired by the Emperor. So if you were left behind, you were meant to be left behind. It was the Emperor's will. Where were the protectors that were meant to shield the lands of humanity from the nightmares? The traitors! Traitors and heretics, a lot of them. A murmur runs through the crowd. The people gawk at you, then at the priest, then at the wretched group huddling in the center. How tiring. The motley sea of colors that fills this restless crowd is hard on the eyes. So many hues, but most of them are acid yellow streaks of fear. Their red buds swelling, ready to burst and paint all who are gathered here. Cassia looks at the crowd of troublemakers wearily, and they shudder at the very sight of her. As for the hearts of those who have been forced to defend themselves, they are shrouded in purplish black grief. but their words are as transparent as the ice that lies at the top of a glacier. Commoners are always deaf to others' suffering, for such is their nature. Interfering in their affairs is hardly worthy of you or I, rogue trader. It's time for us to get, It's time for us to gather order. We are, after all, a commissar. We prefer all of our ducks in a row. All onlookers, return to your homes immediately. The refugees can go to Dock Alpha Row. I will speak with you later. Comply or you will face the consequences. None of the people dare defy you. They back away carefully and try not to look at you. The refugees use the interruption to make off in the direction of Dock 1. The arrogance and self-righteousness of a sinner. The priest shakes his head and his eyes shift to you. I'm Reverend Hieronymus Delaroso, head of the Drusian mission here on Footfall. I thank you for stepping in. Come, see me when you have the time and we can talk. Let's go talk to these guys on the dock and figure out what happened. What's been going on. I feel like I need to get to the bottom of this. This is the plot thread that they've given me that interests me more than some random gang warfare. Alright, so let's go figure out where these peasant nerds are at, and we'll see if we can maybe, like, sort some of this out. I don't know exactly where they might be at, but apparently there's a shrine for pilgrimage over there. I can't zoom the camera out any further. I wanna zoom the camera out more further, but they won't let me. These look like they might be our guys. The refugees from Kiava Gamma are looking at you, some with apprehensive frowns and some with unconcealed gratitude. Your lordship, comes the discordant chorus of voices. I need information. What happened on Kiava Gamma and how did you end up here? We told you everything back in the square. Things are rough on Kiava Gamma. Maybe there isn't a Kiava Gamma. We can't even get Kiava guavas anymore. I don't want to live in an area. Our Kiava guavas were covered in lava. And nothing's funnier than rhyming. All right, anyways, the planet was attacked by a horde of heretics. Oh, the Kiava guavas were not covered in lava. Never mind, it was heretics. They shouted the unholy prayers and cut down people left and right. We heard everything from orbit, listening to one Voxcast after another. We realized that there wasn't anyone left to save, so we thought we'd run. But then it was like our crew went mad. The captain smashed his own head against the cogitator, and so did half the officers. Everyone who survived did their best to steer their ship into the warp, and here we are. Only 3 ships made it out alive, ours being one of them. We don't know what happened to the other 2. They never made it to Footfall. Maybe they disappeared into the warp. Maybe something else happened to them. Idira freezes and listens. Then she blurts out in a changed voice. The first beast, its body wounded, crawled into a hole under the palace of the eminent lord. The second beast, its skin in ulcers, perished in an asteroid grave. The third beast, its essence cursed, is curled up in the glow of a yellow sun. That's probably not good. What became of the ship you used to get here? It is the property of my dynasty. Apologies, we couldn't save it. The ship was damaged during the escape. We were lucky it got us all the way to Footfall. It's at the far dock, but there ain't much use for it anymore. It doesn't look like it's gonna fly, and the local recollegers have already removed the valuable parts. You can send your people to take apart whatever's left and scavenge components. The map of Coronis was revealed to me before the Sea of Souls roiled and tangled paths. How did you desperate ones reach Footfall all the way from Krenach without a navigator? Frightened by Cassia's appearance, the refugee covers his face with his hands and trembles violently. Please forgive my worthless words. We were feeling our way in the dark, you could say. All we had is some old maps. We prayed to the God Emperor night and day while our helmsman plotted the course. It was a miracle. It must have been your lordship. This is suspicious. I was on board with, like, their whole poor refugee thing until they said they made it through the warp without a navigator. Now I'm actually pretty suspicious. That's very atypical. They could have brought anything and everything with them. Here. Like, I don't trust it. You were hurling accusations at your masters. It's a sign of treason. It must be punished. Do you realize that? Please have mercy. A few idiots shouted some things. That's all. We shut them up ourselves already. It was their grief and fear talking. Please, don't punish the rest of us. Vituperation directed at Adeptus Mechanicus was likewise registered. Denial is meaningless. Let's keep it 100. All those who shouted profanities are to be handed over to the guards on my ship and summarily executed. The rest may join my ship's crew. The refugees offer deep bows, stuttering over expressions of gratitude. It'll be done. We'll do as you say. If there's going to be a problem, I'd rather have it happen on my ship where I can deal with it accordingly. Whose shuttle is that? Oh, yeah, that guy's an engine seer. He's praying right now next to our shuttle. I know that bird. The Adeptus Mechanicus uses it to get around. Their boats are easy to tell apart from the pirates. Oh, I guess that's not my ship anyways. His lordship, Rogue Trader Von Valancius, Lord Trader Defender. Oh, people are just talking about me. Okay, they're just like heralding my arrival. Oh, he's speaking binaric. Okay, we can't spit. Well, we have a tech priest with us. So the tech priest should actively, also we have that elucidator. So it should be translating for us. We should not recognize that he's speaking binaric right now because we're using an elucidator. Anyways, my name is Splattercat. This is a little preview into the world of Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. So far, I like it. I mean, I'm not like a huge sprawling Baldur's Gate game guy anymore. They just take so much effort and time to really get into. But everything's... I mean, this is obviously a very, very limited preview of the game. So I don't know how much of this is actually going to make it to the actual release. But anyways, the alpha feels fine to me. If you like CRPGs, it's a CRPG. If you've played Dark Heresy, or you've played Only War, or you've played Rogue Trader, it's literally that converted into a video game. Just like Baldur's Gate was D&D converted into a video game. Hopefully you'll check it out. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Warhammer 40K, Rogue Trader. I will see you all later. Thank you for hanging out, and that's about all I got. Bye, folks.